Late night talking under moon's glow. Charles&Melendia got the flow.
What's up, fam?
What's up, fam?
All right, just
Real
keeping it real with
talk
Charles
ain't
and
no
Melendia.
need for
Yes.
show.
Welcome to another episode
In love's
our
garden,
maybe part 2
watch it
episode
grow.
of Faith in the
Just
Fire.
keeping it
40
real.
years.
40 years. This
40
is
years.
our journey. We talk about, and last week we talked about the meeting, where we met.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about our engagement period and up to the first 5 years. We share our life, or we open our lives out to you because number one, you got to understand these are very private moments to that degree. But if we can help somebody with our story, that's what we do. And if you noticed last week, I got a little emotional because especially when it comes to the birth of our son, and even with dealing with his condition over the years, there are times that, oh boy, sometimes I can't even talk about some of that stuff. And I held a lot in, for years, like we do, brothers. And I want to say that we as men, it doesn't make you weak, to cry or, to express your emotions there. Matter of fact, it shows strength. Just the opposite. Shows strength. And I want to say this much, that I held in for years. And I think maybe 9 or 10 years later, it's when I really, let go when he was dealing with, remember, the memory thing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to talk a little bit. We're glad that you joined us. And we want to, and again, your story may be even more traumatic and more victorious as you go through. But your story is your story, and can't nobody take that from you, just like ours. So we want to share. And we're glad that you joined us today. We ask you to subscribe. We ask that you hit the notification bell and also like our video. Again, we're being transparent with you, and we're going to roll on. We're going to get this thing going.
Yeah, so yes, too, I concur. So glad that we can share actually our experiences with you all. It is a moment of transparency and vulnerability, and we're okay with that. It took us some time actually to settle in with some of the things that we're going through. And when you listen to things like this, it I don't want you to feel like sympathetic or to the point where empathetic.
Don't feel sorry for us.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Because believe me, there is victory on the other side.
Yes.
And as we went through the tests, the shifts, and the testimonies is what we're going to share with our journey. So, first, we have like a timeline that we have. So 40 years is a lot of years of things that we can say that we've gone through.
Yeah. And we looked over and we tried to highlight some things. So we highlight a lot of challenges. And I guess at one point we were like, whoa, just reading this is be a little depressive.
Yeah.
Like, oh wow.
Right.
But if God is in it,
you can win
then
it.
you can win it. That's
Yeah.
the thing. And
Yeah,
I'm gonna say, and that's the thing, and that's what encourages us, knowing that we went through. And I'll tell you, it got tough at times, but we want to take you through our timeline. We're gonna get to some of the things in even today's time. That.
So we left off
Right.
about our son.
Our son,
Right. Son Darren.
Right.
And as you saw, it is emotional because mothers who, birthed your child, you quote, have that stigma where people say what is it? As long as my child is healthy. We heard that so much.
Oh yeah. Right.
But who characterized what healthy is? So you got psychological, medical, physical, right? So what we dealt with was physical.
Sure.
And
Right.
it carried on for up until this time today. But believe me, there is victory. There is victory.
Yeah. Let me take you back on something you just said. Now, are you saying that you mean as a mother, like, are you saying that when people ask the question, do you want a girl or boy? You may say it doesn't matter as long as it's child's health. Is that what you're referring
That's
to?
what I'm referring to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm
So,
referring to because it's
yeah.
always that impression that um I'll be okay as long as he's healthy,
Okay.
and we dealt with that.
Mhm.
We dealt with
So,
that a lot.
okay, I'm sorry. So let's go ahead and just bring that out.
Hmm.
So what if the child is not healthy? That was our case. Do you
Hmm.
put him back? You stuff him back in the box? I mean, really,
Hmm.
it's just, and people were telling us during the time we were in the hospital, you got to understand, you're going through something so overwhelming. And it's just like, oh man, like, Lord, what are we dealing with? This is a dream. And people are telling you that God give special children to special people. And I'm telling you,
Well, I'm gonna
whoa.
tell you though.
They were like, well, Lord, can you
Um,
pick somebody else?
I didn't want to be.
But no, we wouldn't.
I didn't want
We're
to
not.
be
Yeah.
that
You know.
special parent,
Yeah.
but
Right.
it wasn't up
But
to us.
yeah, you
It
couldn't
wasn't up
you
to
couldn't
us.
turn it down, couldn't turn the blessing
Absolutely
down.
not. And then
So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
when you, as a mom that is holding her baby in her womb for 9 months, and if you have any kind of emotion that you develop during that time, when that baby comes, she's the most perfect being that you could ever imagine.
Even
So
with the flaws.
even with the flaws, because
Mhm.
look, some flaws are seen and some are not seen.
Sure. Right.
So
Mhm.
as he grew up, we dealt with, we start with in 1991. He was born in 1990.
Right. Uh-huh.
And 1991, that's when we started off with.
Okay, actually 1990.
Right. In
Okay,
19,
because we talked
he
about him
came
being
home.
September.
Hmm.
He was born September, came home, and
Hmm.
then having him a week and
Hmm.
taking him back to the hospital where
Yeah.
he was there. We talked about the 5 weeks
Yes.
of care. So the insurance company wanted to get him home, and in order for him to come home, he had to have
Nurses.
nurses. How long? How many hours a day?
But what I want to impress on or just say about that is we had to learn how to care for a child that had something challenging that we had never dealt with.
Tracheotomy.
So, and
Yeah, it was overwhelming.
he was born with, as they said, something called cystic hygromal lymphangioma. Wow.
2 words. Right.
That's like a wow.
Mhm.
And it was impressive that our 4.5-year-old could say that in her own language, Ashley, at
Mhm.
the time. So what we was determined to do is give him the most normal way of living
Mhm.
as
Yeah.
we
Right.
went through the struggle.
And that was difficult because we had a lot to learn about ourselves. It was the fact of learning how to suction. And I think God, as we said on last podcast when we talked about Cornelius Fox.
Hmm.
She
Yes.
helped us, took her a day off work,
Yes.
and she came back, said, you all are going to learn how to care for your child. You're going to learn trait care. Got us in a room, and we had a dummy, a little mannequin, that we
Hmm.
practice on.
Hmm.
And she really helped us a lot. And she said, you're going to get your child home. And as we learned those things, our son went from PICU to home.
Right.
That was the first time they had ever seen that a child do that. They usually go from PICU to a room to home, but Darren went from PICU to home.
And for
And we
those
want to
that
say,
don't know
go
what
ahead.
PICU means, it's a
Right.
pediatric intensive care unit.
Thank you for,
So,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
believe me, a lot of these things I didn't know at the time, but
Oh, yeah.
You learn what you care about,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? So, through those many different situations we were placed in, when we get home, and I can say he was saying about Cornelius Fox, we were blessed with a couple of God's angels to
Mm-hmm.
help us get through it.
Yes, right.
So
Uh-huh.
even
Definitely.
in the struggle, through the fire, God saw where we didn't get burned. Now, if you know where I'm referencing, there's a scripture, a reference about who that was thrown in the fire.
Oh,
and
yeah.
they didn't get burned.
Oh, you're talking about the three Hebrew boys.
So, you know, I'm just referencing that. It was pretty hot. It was pretty hard.
Yeah.
But God brought us angels that helped us to manage through it, learn through it.
Right.
And I wanted to learn, we wanted to learn as much as possible to be able to care for our son and give him a normal life, as people may state, but
Yes,
his
right.
normalcy is what we really wanted
Sure.
to show him. So we came home, we had 16 hours of nursing care.
16 hours a day, nursing care.
So now we've got
Ooh.
somebody else living in our home.
Just about.
And mind you, I always want to say we had a 4.5-year-old
Yep.
that we wanted her to have the normalcy as well, because this was a challenge for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, so in that year of 91, it was so intrusive, I would say. You know, with people with different personalities, different beliefs, different nurses with different objectives and things like that, that some of them did not quite fit what we believed and knew of how we were going to care for our child. But, you know, he did bless us with the right ones.
Yes,
He
absolutely.
did bless us with the right ones. And with that time, you know, as we moved on with Cornelia from the hospital, we as we mentioned, I think that we mentioned that she passed away.
Yes, we did on the last one that she passed away. Right.
And then God blessed us with Angie Barker.
Yes.
And I want to say her name, just say her name, because I'm telling you, that was a total angel, unaware initially. So we were grateful to have her for years and years and years and years as we went through the 16 hours. Now, she was 16 hours, but she loved Darren so much. That was like her own child.
Right.
So that was a relief for us, gave us the opportunity to breathe a little bit.
Even enjoy our I guess it might have been was the 4th or 5th anniversary, wedding anniversary. We hadn't done. Remember, we talked about our trip. We were supposed to be going to Bahamas. That didn't happen, but we went down the highway over an hour or so, just to get away and relieve the stress. But as we talked about too, the finances, there was an impact financially because we shared too that on my job I was cut $945 a month, but they did it over 3-month periods of 315. And then you being out of work, that was another 1,000. So now we're cut $1,945 a month cut out. Okay,
back
so
then that was significant.
That was very significant, and to the point we were being billed for our nursing care at $50 per day of $1,500 a month. Now, and we were like, we don't know where it's coming from, but and it just it was a stressful time, really, and we actually got through. We had to get the insurance commissioner involved, and we got some things done. So and it happened that we got some relief through that, and then eventually, financially, we had to file Chapter 7 bankruptcy.
So you know, here we are. We've gone through some traumatic experience in our first 5 years that we shared with you in our first episode. Now we're elaborating that, continuing this on.
Sure.
Our son was born, you know, so here we are, an early married couple within their first 5 years. Going now, we're going to talk about from going into decades after that.
Sure.
So now, after the 5 years, we've got a sick child and financially dealing with bankruptcy. So you got two things that's already society talks about that is crippling for marriages.
And on top of that, I experienced a layoff, you know, from my job. and I was in the process of going to another location. It fell through, and we were out there for a little bit, and then I ended up getting hired at one of their other locations. So worked there, um, and then I think during that same year, the Lord had placed on my heart to start a singing ministry because Melinda and I, we do sing. We've done weddings over the years, and that was just one of the things I felt that in the heat of all we were dealing with, that God wanted us to give our testimony. So our group, Witness for Christ, we started. We were going around. We were traveling with a couple local groups, and we were doing this gospel little thing. And
If
go
I
ahead.
can, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry
Go ahead.
if I may mention, so in our early, I don't want to go too far back, but still, I wanted to mention when we met, we didn't know, but we both sang
Right.
individually.
Yeah. Yeah.
I sang at weddings and events in high school,
And I was in
and he was in the
couple
band.
band.
So that's
So,
kind of
right.
how the singing thing
Yeah. Uh-huh.
kind of went
Right. But
together.
and we learned that later about that. Like I said, again, we're born 5 days. Um, our birthdays are 5 days apart, but born like a difference of about three years or so. You are younger than the brother.
I am
Okay,
younger.
all right. So anyway, so yeah, that's one of those things. Then but we started Witness for Christ. We were going around and we were just out of the pureness of our heart. We wanted to tell other people as we were going through that you can make it.
Yeah.
And our singing and our testimony were sincere. They were pure,
Yeah.
from the heart, because we were going through what we were going through, and we were just telling people that this is it. God can still do it for you.
Yes.
Yeah. And then we go ahead.
Now, I was going to say that we actually went through some old videos and happened to see one of the performances back. It's something called Gospel Expo
Yes.
that
Yeah.
we performed on. It was actually kind of
Right.
funny.
Definitely. Yeah. Variety show,
Yeah.
gospel show, had different choirs, the local choirs, and some even, popular recording artists. Matter of fact, the singer Isaac Curry, his mother was the host of that show.
Right.
And yeah, so he had sang with Men of Standard, also Kurt Franklin, for years. So his mother hosted that show. And matter of fact, we were on that show for several weeks. And I remember people on the job, they said, "Hey, man, we saw you on TV, you and your wife." And they aired that show so much. We had like 2 parts there. And I was doing my little rap back then and early. That's before I knew a Kirk Franklin. All right. So doing my little rap and this kind of thing we were doing. Drum machine, sequence, and music. And then our good friend, Brother Anthony Bowers, played drums with us.
So
We
had
did
a little
we
band
did
thing.
our three piece, and we did our thing, and we wanted to get God's word out and our testimony, what we were dealing with. That God is a good God, is a great God, and after that, what the next thing?
Our
Go ahead.
purpose in that too
Mhm.
was to instill in our children that we still can thank God and praise God, even though the circumstances looked different
Mhm.
than someone else's. And we had young children that we wanted them to feel confident about the state that they were in.
Mhm.
And that was,
Mhm.
Darren did look different than
Yes.
some other children.
Right.
The
Go ahead. Describe.
diagnosis we had caused his face to be a little bigger,
Overdeveloped lymphatic system. Right.
than what you would see with other children. So that would cause him to feel shame, embarrassed. But I can tell you now that that little feisty daughter of ours, she protected her brother.
And go ahead, finish.
So
Mhm.
we wanted them to see that even though in our darkest moments in our closets where we cried, we wanted our children to see the unity that their parents had. So expressing it out in, the music that we did as we were developing and still trying to learn to sing a little bit more. We wanted them to see that and with no shame about it.
Yeah. Now, what you were saying about, daring looking, with it had, I guess, kind of, larger face,
Mhm.
because of the condition, and people used to stare we go in restaurants and people start, oh, look at that kind of thing. Now, I tell you, it puts you on edge when you got people doing that to your kid, your family, and they're just pointing and like, ugh, like you're gonna get something from, and not understanding conditional, asking intelligent questions, but you just want to, take off on, yeah, that kind of thing. It put us to a point where we were like this. I'm gonna tell you now. And we used to
Mama
go out. It
bear.
was the whole family we were like, we were defensive. We were ready to do it. Like, what you looking at? That was us. And we held that for years because that's how we felt. It was so tight going through things and people making fun or laughing, kids laughing at him, and then even with girls that he liked, and some of them being ugly to him, and it was something dealing with that.
Yeah,
But
and
God
so
is good.
yes, he
Yeah,
is. So
guys.
just how society is today, some people can't handle those type of feelings. So knowing that this type of situation he went through can cause all kind of emotions out of whack.
Sure.
Because internalizing as he's getting older, that he can see and determine that what he looks like may be different than someone else, and as well as him hearing things that may not have came through us yet, through the outside interference. But to my husband's point, yes, I was on guard. I was
Everybody.
but I was a mama bear, and guess what? I still am. So, I mean, you don't talk about my child. You just don't. And I utilized that opportunity, actually. We both did, to educate people.
Right.
The times when I had to put my fences down, because the ignorance that people have, you have to educate them.
Right.
So that was, a really growing period. Even though it was grim, this was the growing period I think God gave us, that may not been necessarily for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one thing you said too is that, instead of acting in a way of just reacting, it's wise that some people don't mind you asking them questions. Hey, if you don't mind, can I ask you a question?
Right. And that's what we told.
What's your condition? And that's the thing. So most people can appreciate that. Some may not, but most will. So we'll continue with our timeline, and
So we're in 94 now.
Okay, we're gonna go to 1994, which was a very tough year for us.
Yes, again, 4 years later.
Right.
mm,
May go ahead. Go
4
ahead.
years later, his condition tend to develop where it was growing a lot faster and enabling certain faculties in his mouth and things to work functionally like they should. So we were requested with having him to have surgery.
Right.
At 4 years old. At 4 years old. And that was beyond what you could ever imagine. He was 4, and this surgery was up to 14 hours long.
Yes. I guess the doctor got so tired, I guess to a degree, he had to close up for
He
the
had to
most
stop.
part.
So he
And
didn't
then
really get to finish.
Lasered, he say, and they cut him, I think,
Yeah.
from,
So now you
you know,
see him, he had
so-
battle scars.
so
That's
he
what we
went
look
from here to about right in there.
at.
And it was, and the doctor had told him that he was gonna look just like his parents,
Yeah.
flat, face. And I remember the day we were there when they took the bandages off his face, and that was a sad moment.
It was.
Yeah.
It had compressed and kind of caused a deformity. So our anticipation was then again let down that what we anticipated. But we still had to remain positive.
Right.
And there again, we had our powerful nurse, Angie Barker,
was there.
who
Right.
helped us through that. So, that was struggles through the fire, victory through the fire, because during that time, we had never experienced that. But I do want to give kudos to church family that we weren't even members
Sure,
at the
sure,
time.
church, yeah.
That,
Church of the Living God.
yeah,
Uh,
they
I share with that.
shielded us and gathered at the
On
church.
that, sir.
That's kind of what we needed initially back 4 years ago.
Sure.
But so glad that we were able to have their support.
Mhm.
So here
Yep.
again,
Yep, like
this
Bishop
is
Martin.
this
Right.
is
Mhm.
going through our 40-year journey.
Yes.
And still, then again, after that, we
That was in May. That was in May of
May.
1994.
or April, May.
That was May.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we have, times going on, he's starting to heal. And,
Mhm.
We wanted to be able to have something to relax. He was able to function pretty good and still kind of bandaged up, but he was doing well.
Right.
And we
Yep.
have our annual family reunion
Mhm.
that year in
June.
94.
Right.
It was in Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle Beach.
Myrtle
Right.
Beach.
Mhm.
Was the first time you ever?
That was, I live in South Carolina, a couple hours away from Myrtle Beach, and I was 30 something years old and had never gone to the beach.
Yeah.
I used to hear about it. I thought it was boring. I said, man, the beach, whatever. But I went to the beach that's just how sheltered and crazy.
Yeah.
And got to the beach, and I'm saying, oh my goodness,
It was wonderful.
I've been missing all this. You better, why you do it? And we enjoyed it. We
did.
enjoyed it.
Our
As a matter of
kids
fact,
enjoyed it.
right. Darren, well, they had a fashion show.
Yeah.
Darren was in it, nephew was in it.
Ashley, all of the
Ashley,
kids were in
all the
it.
kids, they were in
So
the fashion show. It was
It was
great.
great. And
reunion.
looking back on it, I believe it was the calm
Mhm.
again before the storm.
That was, definitely.
Because we had went through a storm prior to
Mhm.
that, dealing with, the recovery and surgery and everything with
Right.
Darren.
Mhm.
Then coming, enjoying a place up on a balcony. We were on the high balcony, just really
Mhm.
enjoying
Right.
ourselves enjoying ourselves. So
And what you said,
we're
what you done? What you done?
enjoying
Yeah, we
ourselves,
enjoyed
enjoying
it.
our
We enjoyed
time.
it. Yeah, definitely. And we were planning our anniversary. I mean, yeah, our anniversary would have been the next month. So we were planning a trip back to Myrtle Beach.
Yes.
Yeah.
We were there in June.
Mhm.
We were
Right.
in Myrtle Beach in June
Mhm.
as we were enjoying. And then here comes another major storm
Mhm.
during the whole family reunion. It was
Right.
hundreds of us there.
Sure. Yeah.
We
definitely.
kind of took over back then. We had a lot of participation with family reunion, but
Mhm.
we got some horrific news
Knock on the door.
that
yeah. Mhm.
my sister died.
Right. Sister Bam. Yeah.
So
Well, at the time, we didn't get the news that she died. Well, it was news that she cardiac arrest. We were
Yeah.
thinking that okay,
well, the net of
maybe
it
yeah.
is
But
that
then we ended up running down and hearing that she had passed away.
yes,
Very
and
traumatic.
this was a
Very
Saturday night.
this was a Sunday night,
It's a
I
Sunday
believe.
night?
I think it was a Sunday night.
So yeah, and I think we found out
The day
earlier.
before,
the day-
earlier, like Saturday night into morning, found out
My-
Uncle from Maryland had passed. Uncle
Uncle
John,
yes.
yes.
He
Right.
passed that
Mhm.
the night before, and then hours later,
Right.
not knowing the
Exactly.
specific time, but
Yeah.
hours later, we lose Bed.
Mhm.
You talking?
That was
you
was devastating.
talking
That was devastating.
that there's that storm.
Yeah. Right.
There's that storm. So that just without getting too deep into the emotions ran high,
Oh,
it was
man.
just a lot of chaos. And
Unbelievable.
I can say years and years later, but God kept us,
Oh,
kept
yeah.
us.
Yeah,
So that was a journey
Mhm.
through those years. After 94, we had to just try to manage what
Sure.
we had
Right.
dealt with
Mhm.
in those last couple of years.
Yes, right.
And that's the when I kind of look at it, we just had a moment of stillness, probably.
Mhm. I think I'm thinking 96
Mm-hmm.
is when I was working in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I get a call. And I had my own little desk, little phone, get a call. Boom. Is this Charles Rose? Yes, it is. Who am I speaking with? This is such and such. You don't know me. She was calling from a cell phone.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, your wife has just been in a car accident. They can't get her out, but I'm going to hand her my phone so you can talk with her. And I'm thinking, what? Like, are you kidding me? And
Mm.
wow, you want to talk about that accident?
I
That
don't,
was
I
that was
don't
something.
really vividly remember everything,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, guys. Then the next thing is I was in an accident. I was in a terrible car accident, and I, you know, I had never been in an accident quite like that, but I had a dog in the car.
No, not that.
That
Not
was
that. Not that
I
time.
had no, it's just
No,
me, right?
just you
Just
going to
me.
work.
After taking Ashley to school, I think.
Yeah, you on your way to work.
But yeah,
Raining.
yeah, raining like the day of Noah, like raining. And I had decided I couldn't see. So I decided to pull over because it was just raining so hard. So, pulling over on the side of the road.
Well, you didn't
real-
decide to pull over.
Well,
Your
well,
car
that's good.
hydroplaned.
There you go.
And you went
You're
over to
right.
the
You're right.
side
You're right. So
and
I
it
told you
shut
I
off.
can't
You
believe
could
it.
the water kind of
See
shut
how
it.
God had that thing?
Yeah.
He
Right.
it hydroplaned and it hydroplaned right off on the side of the road,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But it was right by a bridge,
Mm-hmm.
right by a
Mm-hmm.
bridge.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
I contemplated, I'm gonna speed this up, but I contemplated, I got to get out of this car because it was raining so hard. There was trucks going by and cars going by, and I just I decided I'm going to get out because my college that I went to kind of was behind me, that I was going to just walk back because my car wouldn't start. And just as I put my hand on the door latch to open it, I was frozen in what I saw. I looked in the rearview mirror and I saw another car
Mhm.
coming towards me.
And they had hydroplane.
And they had hydroplane,
And
hit
then-
whatever
Yep.
maybe I hit, and
Mhm.
coming straight to the back of my car.
Yep. Yep. Mhm.
So no time to think. I just had to try to prepare because I didn't, you don't know. And they smashed my car so bad in the back that it pushed me up under the steering wheel, crushed my pelvic.
Mhm. And it actually bent the door that you couldn't get out.
Right.
And
So they had to get
yeah.
the jaws of life to
Mhm.
get me out. And I had a carton of eggs in the trunk that did not crack. Figure that one out. But that, there we go with another storm
Mhm.
that we were going through.
Yeah.
And
Go ahead.
but I'm gonna tell you,
And basically with that, when I left the job, I drove by, I saw the car sitting there, and I'm thinking, oh my God, Lord, what's going on here? And I rushed to the hospital and they said, hey, you Miss Roosevelt. Oh, she's in here. And I walk in.
and let me tell y'all, this man right here can hold his face because he tries to make sure that I don't break down. He just try to keep a straight face so I don't break down. And when he walked in there,
I couldn't keep a straight face. I tried.
and I said,
'Cause I'm like,
"What's
who is
I
this?
couldn't really speak.
I'm like, who
because
is this? That's not my wife. I'm like, oh Lord, no, they got the wrong person. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not my wife.
It messed my face up pretty
Oh
bad.
Lord, I'm
And,
looking
and I couldn't really talk really
Oh
well.
boy, yeah.
But God, right?
Yes. Yep.
So
I tell you.
that was a journey we went through, and believe it or not, y'all ready?
Well, look, before that, the your attorney had told me, he didn't tell you, he told me, he said, listen, I think you walked out, get some water, went to the restroom or something. He said, listen, I'm not trying to stir up anything, but he said most people that have an accident, they'll have another one within 12 months. And I said, what? Are you kidding me? And I'll be dog.
Y'all.
11 months later.
Y'all.
11 months later.
I was driving a rally, and it's my fault. That was
11 months later, I'm working. I left my job, AT&T. I'm working insurance, and I carrying a pager. During the time I get a 911 page, and I call the company and say, man, you need to call your wife. You need to go to the hospital. Your wife was in a car wreck. And I'm like, what? Yeah.
Quickly on that one, you know, I'm driving, you know, I'm sure this has happened to some people. You're driving, and it was like a 55-mile-an-hour.
Yeah, right, definitely.
You know, travel, the way you're traveling. And I saw a car at the stop sign. And you know how cars try to maybe get past you before you come through? That's what he did. But he stopped at the stop sign, and I'm thinking, I know that he's not gonna try to do that. So but then I was going down a decline.
Yeah, you on the hill.
Yeah, I was on the hill, so
down
I'm
the
going a little faster.
Right.
And guess what? What I didn't say, I had my baby boy in the car.
You had Darren, and you also had a dog.
Yeah, that's
Ebony.
the time I had my son. It was the first time he was old enough that I allowed him to sit in the front seat. And this joker did it. He cut in front of me, and what happened when he did it, he had a stick shift. He stalled because he couldn't get it fast enough. And I ran right into him, and it was bad again. And the airbag exploded. And that stuff that's inside that airbag is so hot, it burned my face. Burned my face. And it jarred Darren's his face. Now, mind you, he had gone through a lot.
Right. So he had a tracheotomy.
He had a tracheotomy, and you know, we both ended up looking at each other. He looking at me. He sees all kind of dramatic stuff going on with my face. I see dramatic stuff going on with his neck, and that adrenaline rush as a mom. I was trying to get out, and then of course you're thinking about all these crazy movies that you see. Trying to get out, I couldn't get out. The guy came around, and he's crying. Oh my God, what have I done? What I'm done? And I'm
Why was he crying?
Because he saw Darren, and he thought Darren's facial appearance is something that he did.
Right.
But and then on top of that, Darren was bleeding. So he's crying, and then he's looking at me, and I'm bleeding. And all I said, just get us out the car, because it was smoking. And I don't know how he got us out the car, but I tried to get out, but something was going on with that left arm. But I don't even know if I felt it then. Got out of the car. We were able to get Darren out the car. And when we got Darren out the car, I picked him up and set him on the back of the car. I don't remember nothing else. And then I passed out. Woke up. All of these people, all of these men were staring down at me, cutting my shirt off. And all I kept thinking about, first thing I think about, I hope they don't cut my bra. Wasn't that crazy?
A bra.
Because they went from here to here. But then I didn't really know what was going on, except for I wanted to find our son.
Yeah, right.
So, you know, bringing that part to speeding up, you know, I did lose consciousness. We got to the hospital, And, again, my husband had to identify me living and our son. And that was another storm,
Oh yeah,
another
yeah.
storm
And
that we went through.
and Bishop showed up.
And our bishop at the time
Late
that
FC
showed
Martin.
up.
Yeah, was there.
And but God, that's all I
Yeah.
can say.
Mhm.
So 11 months apart, two major accidents. This one it did some it broke my pinky, my wrist.
Well, yeah, you can show
If you
your
can
pinky
see,
now. Yeah.
see that?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's
Still
not straight.
never
That is
straight.
my battle scar.
And
But
yeah. Then that happened in May of that year. And then May, these June, July.
Even laugh at this kind of stuff.
But listen to this. And as you were healing,
We opened up a center.
we opened up a daycare
A
center. We
preschool
did
center.
child care center in 1997.
Yes.
I quit my job, left my job, and was doing insurance. And this was around I think Memorial Day. And you and I, we were gonna do some things. We were working on the house, doing
No, we
something.
were working on the center.
Oh, the center. That's
We were
right.
working
That's
on the
right.
center.
Okay, yeah, we were working on the center and decided to go to Home Depot.
Now, mind you,
Looking for paint, several
I
things.
was still recovering from the
Still
accident.
recovering from an accident.
Still had a cast.
little sling thing, yeah,
I had a
cast and
cast
all.
on, yeah.
Oh yeah. And we're looking at Home Depot in the paint section.
Somebody say,
And all of
you?
a sudden, I look up and I see it had to be a 10 or 12 foot 2x4 standing up. And my wife was standing over. And I'm seeing this thing fall. And I say,
guess what?
Watch out.
It fell on me.
It fell on her shoulder.
On the same.
The one that she had broken. And I'm like, oh my Lord, that line double. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
Boy, I tell you, it was something. But we went through that and it kind of lengthened your recovery. And we went through. Yeah, you didn't think about that, did you? I did as you go.
Thank you.
So yeah. And then we did open our center and open our center.
Yeah.
And we did I guess our official open was June of that year.
97.
June.
So
and again, June was the time when your sister passed. We opened the center in June and we honored her.
It was a year later.
And my mother-in-law, Miss Jean, came in that name with the name.
Yes,
and
called Bead Your
Bead Your Smiles
in honor of
Beverly Jean Irvin Smith.
So that was the
very creative name.
Yes.
And
thanks to my mom. And so again, don't feel sorry for us, guys.
No.
Because but God.
Yes.
So we say just part of that, just to let you know that in marriage,
yes,
you cannot predict what good, bad that can happen. You can only try to do your best to handle it by trusting God through it. So believe me, those were fires.
Oh, absolutely.
That was storms and that was fires.
And I think the faith and the fire is the thing.
Yes. So we had this dream and we used to drive around, a year later, we used to drive around and just look at the homes that we would like to acquire.
In 82, we talked about that too.
Right.
Around in the 82, 83 time frame. We were not even married.
Right.
And we were looking at homes. And
so in 98, we were just, looking around still. And I got to the point I was tired of looking. And my husband found the perfect home that was just for us. And it was absolutely, I loved it.
Right.
I absolutely loved it.
So that was a move up from the double wide 24 by 40 double wide home. And now we starting to move on now, and that's the thing. And that day I went and looked at it. I only saw it from an article. It wasn't a picture of it. And I just knew from what I was reading, I said, boy, this is low price. And I went over, looked at the house, and I said, I can't believe it. I can't believe this house is this price. And I call you from school and I said, you got to look at it. You got to see it. And you
Mhm.
came over and you walked in, you said,
I absolutely
I
loved it.
love this home. We got to get this home,
We don't have to be
Charlie.
so dramatic.
I
But
mean, hey,
yeah,
man,
we
I've been
did.
this way all my
Mhm.
life.
But
And
guys, we got the home.
we got
And
this home.
believe it or not,
Right.
this home was right down the street.
From the community that we looked at
And
before we got married. And we just drove around the corner and like, wait a minute,
yes,
this is the same neighborhood
yes.
that we
So
said we were gonna
never give up on your
Definitely,
desires. And I
definitely.
keep telling myself
Yeah.
that still to this day.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
we were, even through the trials and the struggles and things,
Mhm.
we moved into the house in 1998 and we just, enjoyed it with our family and then just trying to get settled and be normal.
Yeah, right.
Just living a
Sure.
normal, calm, free life. And
Mhm.
then years passed, and then of course in 2000, what happened?
No, 2001.
Was it
That's when
2001?
yeah, I think we got
2001,
2001.
9/11.
Because we were doing renovations to the house in
Right,
2001.
right.
So
So
that
that's
was
a whole
9/11. We were
plethora of
Mhm.
emotions of this world that
Right.
we all share.
Mhm.
In 2001 that
Mhm.
happened. So, prayers to all the families that still deal with the memories and things. So we
Mhm.
do understand maybe different channels in life, struggles and challenges through the fire. But
Okay.
then
Mhm.
2002 comes.
Well, we talked about Angie being Darren's nurse, and she
Mhm.
became like
His
a
godmother.
godmother to
Mhm.
him, and she was
Mhm.
very close to our family. Some family members even, I guess, felt that she was more family to a degree.
Yeah.
He even came to work for us at
At a
our
center. Yeah.
center, yes,
Yeah.
and
And to the point, I'm sorry, to
go
the
ahead,
point
go
where
ahead.
we would go out
Mhm.
and people would think she was the mom and he was the dad. Like, what was that?
Right, right.
But I didn't mind it at all.
Mhm.
I mean, I really appreciated our bond and our
Yeah.
relationship and everything that she could have
Yes.
ever done for us. We
Right.
needed it so much.
And
here,
you, I want to say something. You remember when Darren got sick? I think it was it's around 2002.
she came, got into bed with him.
Yeah, I think it was 2002. Darren got sick. Was it the same time doing the memory? I think yes,
Yeah.
it happened. She came before that. That
Mhm.
that happened a few days after because of the
Mhm.
medicines and all.
Mhm.
So we didn't talk about that. Didn't think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
So Angie came to visit us in that home that we had, and she was from West Virginia,
Mhm.
and she was asking us. Yeah, she had moved back to West Virginia and asked us whether we were coming to visit her. And I say, Angie, how's the weather? Nope. He said snowing. I said, nope, until it gets warmer, we'll come, we'll come. And then you all laughed like crazy that
We
day.
did.
Yo,
We
we're going
did.
on.
And
And she asked you what?
she had came down
Mhm.
because Darren had gotten sick
Sick,
and
yeah.
we had dealt with something of adverse
Mhm.
reaction to medication
Right.
that actually caused him to have memory loss.
Memory loss, yeah.
So that was a
Mhm.
whole nother
Oh boy.
struggle.
Yeah.
But she was
And
there to help us through that and everything.
well,
And
that actually hadn't happened yet. He was having fever. That hadn't happened yet because she was down visiting because he was sick, and she was down, and you all were talking. She saw him for a minute, and you all had your conversations, and
I just
then
know
we
it was a lot.
and it was a lot going on.
It's a
So
lot. And we did. We
exactly,
laughed, we laughed so much
and
that night.
something she asked you, um, can I be your sister or something? Did
But
you
she
say?
said,
You say
no,
little sister?
something.
Can I be your little sister? And you
She said,
said,
I
right,
can't
can't take
take
the place
place
of
of
your
your
sister.
sister, but
Yes.
can I be your other sister? And I mean that was
Hmm.
just
Right,
so
right.
emotional for me. And
Yeah. Uh-huh.
and of course, she had been there. So but here's tragedy again
Right.
that
And that was around January, February time frame.
yeah,
And
we found out Angie passed.
And we got that. She passed in May of that same year.
Yeah.
We didn't get a chance to go visit her, and we learned about her death after everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, trying to explain to our son who had grasped her as his mother, as well,
Right.
a godmother, and, the closeness. It was hard. Again,
Yes,
here we
yes.
are.
32.
Yeah, she was 32.
And just like Cornelia, it was
Yeah,
32,
32. So didn't know what all of that meant.
Right.
So, but when Christ, Friday, 33.
30. Okay,
But
yeah, 32, 33.
I'm just
Yeah.
saying that, a lot of this stuff, guys, I'm telling you, it could have been enough to drive you over the edge.
Almost went, girl.
Yeah.
You,
Yeah.
Dylan.
No.
Dylan. I tell you. Oh Lord.
It was enough.
It's been several times in
And,
life. Yeah. And we didn't talk about the daycare. So,
yeah, but
and it's been a lot of
it's a lot.
challenges.
Even when we're dealing with business,
Yeah.
not having trustworthy staff,
Right.
just dealing with people not being having the character and the care that all fell on us and fell on me to a certain extent. So it was a lot. It was a lot.
It's been a journey.
Here we are with more storms, right? But through the storms, there's got to be a ray of sunshine that we had to hang on to. So the years passed, and here we are in 2005. And
we did the family reunion in 2005.
Right.
And that we hosted the family reunion
in Charleston,
and in Durham, North Carolina.
Durham. Okay.
Yeah, in Durham. And that was the one we hosted. And that's when we did the reveal, the memorial, several things there. We had and that was the same year our kids graduated. Yeah.
Graduated. So we were
definitely
happy times. And then there was a reveal about property that my mother and her siblings' parents had owned. It was just a wonderful reveal about it. It was some property that my grandparents and their parents sharecropped on. And my mother bought it. So it was such an emotional time. So that was, we needed some happiness.
Sure.
So we needed some happiness, some graduation, some good news. And then, years went on. In 2009, Darren got an opportunity to be honored by the mayor of Winston-Salem.
Yes.
For his courage and for his resilience. And he got recognized.
It was a resolution.
Yeah.
And matter of fact, we had come back from Baltimore from I think a family reunion we had done, or a trip there.
Yeah.
And we got back and they recognized him at the City Hall.
Yeah.
Mayor Jones had given him a resolution because one of the councilmen that had gone through some challenges read Darren's story because there was an article that was done on him, newspaper article. And he read that article and they wanted to give him, that resolution. So
that's another good feeling.
Definitely.
Good feeling. And then he got recognized so much that we got the opportunity for him to be a guest speaker at an event for Maya Angelou.
And that was through the Urban League. Urban League did a lot. And Mr. Granberry, at the time, they did a lot, opened a lot of doors with him getting jobs because that was a struggle. Going to put in applications and people not wanting him because of his appearance. And there were many doors open to where he also spoke on fundraisers. You remember a couple of fundraisers? He spoke. So it gave him a lot of opportunities to get out there. And he met a lot of people as well.
Yeah. So that was another fresh air to breathe that we was blessed to be in the presence amongst Maya Angelou and giving our son the opportunity to feel, where he can express his story.
Right.
And it was powerful. So, I can't ponder too much on all the bad times. I have to appreciate And believe me, I was pondering at times. But then, believe me, there is going to be a light at the end of this tunnel that when we finish with this with you guys. So then, moving on, and we're in 2011.
But you remember, even before 2011, we closed our business in 2007.
Yeah.
You and I both were out of work during that time. I started trading, doing day trading. Which was a challenge.
Very risk taker.
A challenge. I was doing well, and I do remember things turned around in a short period of time.
Yeah.
And I know for you, you ended up getting work. For me, I got jobs here and there, and nothing really that great, but something to do. And then after a while, I just say, look, it's just not happening for me.
Because he always had that entrepreneurial spirit. That's what it was. And it's gonna come into fruition. We just know it. So he had that entrepreneur spirit, and it took him a while. We went through some failures and some losses and things like that. But then as he was wanting to continue to help with take care of the family, he got an opportunity in 2011 to go to Charleston.
Right.
Now, we were in Winston-Salem.
Right.
He was going to Charleston, and 4 hours.
And we talked about that in one of the other podcasts. Yeah.
4 hours away.
Definitely.
So
4 hours for sure.
Here's another challenge. It seems like, oh, this is great because now he's getting an opportunity, but it was 4 hours away, guys. And
you had a possible job. We were hoping things would work out for both of us. And you ended up interviewing, and it was like, what? They were trying to offer you $15,000 less than what you were making.
Oh, yeah.
And it was
you know what? I'm glad that didn't work out.
Right,
exactly. God had a plan for everything.
Yeah.
And here's another storm.
Right.
My husband, goes and have the opportunity, he's down there. And then we get a diagnosis that my mom.
Is that 2012?
Had lung cancer.
Yes.
And I wasn't going anywhere.
Right.
And he knew that.
And it worked out that you didn't take that job.
Because I wouldn't have.
Sometimes when we pray, ask God for things, it's like this. We need to pray according to God's will, ask according to his will. And my thing is the outcome, and you believe that the outcome is his will and not just your desire. So make sure that God's will is above your desire to have something.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing. So it worked out. And guess what? I think that's the same year you and I took our first cruise, and we went to Bahamas. Remember the trip we said that we were supposed to have been doing during our honeymoon? We didn't take it. We got ripped off. So now we took our trip in 2012. We took our first cruise to Bahamas. Yeah. And there was
still some fun.
It was a nice cruise.
But anyway, it had some challenges in there. But here we are. He's 4 hours away. My mom was diagnosed.
Yes.
And I wasn't leaving mom, and he knew I wasn't going to leave mom. But we went through that, and that was a lonely period as well because we weren't from here, and we had no family in Winston. And my husband's far away. First time I ever dealt with things like that with him. And our kids were living in Charlotte and in college. So lonely period of time. Lonely period of time.
Get a lot done. Yeah, without me there.
You were there in spirit.
Buying car.
We had a dear friend that helped me out a lot, that he talked to, made sure that certain things were done at home and certain things were taken care of for me, the cars and everything. So, mom got through that trial, and wind up, she went through it twice again. It metastasized and went through again. So that was a second time with lung cancer. And then she was clear. I'm trying to think because it's so much.
I know.
She had the third time. Yeah. So just all in all, she is our trooper. God has blessed her for 3 times survival of lung cancer. So she
Yes, right.
survived. She, to this
Yep.
day,
Right.
since 2015,
Right, Ma.
I think she has been
2015.
she's been cancer free. But I'm telling you, after that, I was like, Mom, I'm tired of living married single. I got to go. I got to go.
You
And,
used to boast about it for a minute.
Yeah,
Say, oh, this
it's
is
kind of nice.
thing. Like,
I didn't have to
nice for who?
clean up and cook, and come home, and but then my friends in college was hanging out with their friends, their couples, and so here we are. I'm ready to move.
But before that, before you moved, it's just like I was working at the location, and in
I had no.
2013, I had a fall
Yeah,
on the job,
Y'all gonna be like, oh my gosh. Oh
and
my
I
gosh.
fell.
Not something else.
I fell
He fell.
from a
fell.
step ladder kind of thing, fell backwards, and
Yeah.
ended up
Yeah.
had some issues, went to therapy,
Yeah.
and then eventually got a torn meniscus
Which you had to have
surgery in
surgery.
2014.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
woo. Woo.
Yeah.
So
And
then
okay.
there
While we
was
were
some
down
things,
there,
crazy stuff was
headlines,
happening
right?
and stuff like that. So we finally
that-
moved down. Okay.
Right.
Finally moved down
And
and
2015.
yes.
That's when you
And y'all, I am from Baltimore. Okay, I said that. And I am a Baltimore girl. They call me a northerner because I'm from Twin anyway. But I had never seen some stuff that I saw in my life until I had moved down in Charleston.
Yeah. Historical
That's when,
tragedies that happened that year.
I mean, I'm at work because I work downtown and they telling us to duck and crawl, and because there's been a murder or stuff happening downtown, and this big thing, we're right around the corner from the shooting at the church.
Mother Emanuel.
Yeah.
Right.
That happened. And then shortly after that, you had Walter Scott. I was like, get me out of here.
All of that the same.
My husband, get me out of here. So we hung in there.
Sure.
We hung in there through it all. I was able to graduate with my master's. I did go to school.
Master's program.
Yeah.
I remember times you wanted to.
I wanted to quit.
Let it go.
Yeah,
I said, nah, do it.
But I hung in there.
You can do it, girl.
Thanks to God. Thanks.
Yep.
You, Lord, I did.
Yep.
So,
you did.
Speeding up everything, here we are in 2015, 2016, 2018. You got my husband wound up having another.
Hold on. What? 2015. Remember, we were, that's the year you graduated. And then we were building our home that year in Charleston area.
Yeah, we built.
So we completed our home
in Charleston.
Yeah.
Beautiful home that another home that God blessed us with.
It's for sale. I can get that.
He's paying for rent.
I'll give you the link.
Let us know.
Okay.
5
go
bedrooms.
Ahead. Go ahead. 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. Beautiful home.
So we have rented it out and everything. So now we're getting ready to,
Go ahead.
So anyway, that was a little small plug. But in 2016, my husband started having some issues and he wound up having to have a hernia surgery. So, we go through that and he's getting better. Of course, I'm there to aid him through.
No, we live together.
Yeah, we live together.
What do you mean you there to help me? What do you mean?
Yes, I mean, I have
like
to
you
work
came to
and-
visit me or something? Like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm here to help you.
And
No,
you-
you my
and you-
wife, woman, you were down here. Go ahead.
Anyway,
you were down there the other
we
time.
got through that.
Remember, you cut grass for me. Remember
I
that?
did. Oh my gosh.
Oh, I even got a video of you cutting grass. Because I was
it was
upstairs
wrong.
doing. I said,
It was
look
so
at, look
wrong.
at. I said, she's gonna
Can't
see this
walk.
moment. Look. Go ahead.
Anyway, so got better, got that through that. Here we come, 2018. My husband, we was excited. He was going to his 40th
40th class reunion. Yes.
And then we had some another event to go to. So we were there, kind of had a good time, whatever.
Yep.
And we had to cut out and leave early.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yep.
you see my face here.
Okay. We left early.
We left early.
Okay. Good. Mm-hmm.
So
Go ahead. Mm-hmm. Lord.
left early.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all ready? Here we go walking out to the
Good
parking lot.
Lord.
Something happened. The lights went out. The lights were out, and it was pitch black, dark.
Yeah.
We couldn't find our way.
Well,
So we were trying to find our phones.
I
or
went
something.
back in to try to turn on lights. I asked somebody to turn on lights.
So we can't see where we're going. Can't see where we're going.
So
what happened? We fell.
I'm leading us.
We fell.
I'm holding your hand. I'm ahead of you a little bit. Did not realize there was a curb and a step down.
Y'all laughing.
I'm walking just like everything is level, and I start falling. She didn't know why.
Because I couldn't.
She trying to catch me, trying to keep me up.
But
I'm like, oh Lord, I didn't know what was happening. But she was soon to hit that curb.
I hit it harder.
We both were doing this, then we're trying to keep each other up, and we both fell together.
But
and when she fell, what happened?
I broke my ankle.
Something popped.
I didn't break it.
That
fall.
It's just
broke
like,
my ankle.
oh Lord, that wasn't good.
So, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe.
I gotta keep her in the bowl. I guess I better stay in too, right?
That means
no, God is good. Go ahead.
There's going to be something miraculous in our life. Because
the
devil don't mess with people we already got.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
don't go anywhere yet. Oh, you still talking about that situation?
No.
Okay, but in 2019, what did we do? We took a cruise. 2019.
Oh, with Black Married
with Kids. That's Ronnie and Tyler. Lamar Tyler.
Yes.
And we took that cruise. Beautiful,
amazing.
Beautiful.
It was
and
amazing.
we went several
Connected
places
with them as
other
well
married
as
couples.
the yachts.
Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Really connected with some strong entrepreneurial like-minded people.
Sure.
So
absolutely.
We needed that.
Yeah.
We deserved that space. And then what happened?
Well, no. The thing about it in that was very encouraging to the point where we had said, we used to do things back in the 90s. We used to do couples events and we would just give, to them. And in the 2000s, early 2000s, we would get sponsorship to do the donut, Krispy Kreme, they would give us boxes of donuts. We'd giving them out to people, that came to our events. And so anyway, we had stopped doing a lot of those things. We did family ministry at Church of Living God for a few years. We did. And even the men's group from Faithful Men's Network. And so we had stopped or had not been active doing those things. But that cruise got us excited about doing that work again. And so we decided, let's do a podcast. And we started an audio podcast that same year, 2019. And then we changed that to also a video podcast in 2020, the early part of 2020.
That's how J. Kerr was birthed.
Just keeping it real.
And so what actually helped us with that, it didn't, I'm gonna say help, but
the first
well, I'm just saying in 2020, that's kind of when we started the podcast.
A
few months later, COVID. We
C-19.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm sorry, the pandemic,
pandemic
happened.
Right.
And so we were able to be in the house together to do that.
And that year we were married. How many years?
35.
35 years.
Look back on our 35.
We did our video showing our 35 years. We talked about the same journey that we've taken. And then we even sung a song on part 2.
Yeah.
Check it out.
Yeah.
We did a song and dedication. And that anniversary was very special. Though the pandemic was there, we didn't run out doing things, but our kids did us mighty good.
They celebrated us.
And what they did, they had us.
Celebrated us.
No, I gotta say how they celebrate. Girl, please, you know me. Is that they had two masseuses, we had
With
massage
you,
side by side, at the house. And
we
then
had a
after
catered
that, they
dinner.
say, y'all need to, once you're done with that, go ahead and shower, dress up, get all dressed up, because we got something else coming. And all of a sudden, the chef rings the doorbell and he said, I'm here to cook you all dinner. And we had a
Yeah,
private chef
it was
and
wonderful.
yep,
It was
fixed that
wonderful.
food for us. And man, I
So
tell you, dessert, remember several things.
everything was
And
just
then he
beautiful.
left and we danced,
We did.
we
We
danced, we
sang
enjoyed, we sang,
something, but
yeah, we enjoyed our time. And that
yeah,
was that 35th anniversary.
yeah.
And
So, that was what we say, that was back in 2020, right?
2020, right.
So, we just used that time in 2020 to kind of recalibrate and um settle into our lives because the pandemic did a lot. It was a lot going on for that time for everyone.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of people were
So,
spending time together. We were talking a lot. And what we ended up doing, I think that's when you share some things with me. And then we sought to see a marriage counselor during that time.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah. So
learned a lot
you
about each
learn,
other
yeah,
during that
spend
time.
a lot
So
of time
that's when we
together.
talk about we're an advocate
Yes,
for getting help.
right.
And then
Hmm.
it helped us. It
Oh
continued
yeah,
to
yeah,
help.
yeah.
And then and we want to be a help for others as
Hmm.
well. That's why we got educated and became more um knowledgeable and knowing the challenges that happens in relationships
Yes,
and in
right.
marriages. So
Uh-huh. And
even
you can make it.
this episode here is to kind of walk you all through that
Mhm.
it wasn't all roses. And
Right.
how did you get through that for this 40-year journey that we just shared with you guys? It took much needed prayer.
Prayer.
It took
The
us
grace of
to
God.
be determined that no matter what, we've got to work through this.
Got to stick
We
together
got to stick
while we
together.
work through.
And
Yes.
it was
Uh-huh.
rough
Yeah.
because certain
Definitely.
things just doesn't turn around so quickly when you go through them.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
life, as they say, life was lifing. And here we are in 2022.
Well, before we get to 2022, okay, I want to recall some things back in 2021. I know I left my job in 2021,
Mm-hmm.
and then too late in that same year, um, I dealt with some health issues,
Yes.
and
Mm-hmm.
which was very well, tough,
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
I know it was scary for both of us.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time, it was to a point very weak dealing with things. And I just woke up one day and I just said, Lord, if this is it for me, I say, I'm gonna do this day. I'm gonna sing a song of praise to you. And if I leave here singing this song, then glory be to God. I appreciate my life because I've had a great life in spite of the challenges that I had. In spite of my weakness here, I'm going to sing the best I can to you. And that song was I Lift My
Oh,
Lamar Campbell song
okay.
that we sang. And that was a song. You know what song I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yes.
And I
Yes.
sing that song, man, with all my might. That though I didn't really have the strength or the breath to do it, but I did. And I just say, there it is. So Lord brought us through that.
Yeah. We
And
did.
and then in 2022, we started
We
a
started
project.
a project.
Yeah, we started. That's when we had a lot going. We were planning to move closer to our kids, our grandchild, grandson, and then
His
even
birth
my parents.
and
Being
being closer
close.
to my mom as
Yes,
well.
and then close to mom. So
Um,
that's what we decided,
yeah.
and we
So
decided to leave the area, the
yeah,
Charleston area.
we
Mhm.
did. And we built a home in 2022, 23, and we moved.
We moved
We
in
moved. That was a big
20.
move.
We moved in 23,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Big move. Another big move.
Yes. Hate
So
moving.
thank
I tell you, Lord,
oh,
we did a
too
lot of moving. We
so
did a lot of
much.
moving, didn't we?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
too
yeah.
much. But
I tell you.
so
But thank the
so
Lord.
so
Yeah.
here we are closer
Yeah.
to our 40th,
Yes.
closer to our 40th
Next
in
month,
2024.
July
That's
21st.
when
Hmm.
a lot of things became more prevalent to what we were going to deal with when we got here. And that was, dealing with ailing parents,
Yeah.
and losing loved ones.
Sure. Yes. Right.
Then hear more economic and job loss,
Yes. Right.
things like that.
Health issues.
Health issues.
Right. Right. And well, definitely health issues with aged parents. Because both my parents are in their 90s, and of course
95.
90, right, and going on 93 and 96. But again, these are the things you deal with in life, and the things you gotta have the fortitude, or you pray to God for the faith, the strength, even to go through and get through. And sometimes it may show up. You may get weak points there, but you look to God, because He says that in our weakest point, that we can be made strong, because He can be our strength. Okay.
Yeah. So, as we conclude this series here of Strength Through the Struggles and Faith in the Fire, I appreciate you journeying this time with us.
Yes, right.
Yes, it's been years and decades.
We're still standing.
We're still standing.
By the grace of God,
Yes,
girl.
of struggles and setbacks and silent battles, but we believe in a God who does not waste pain. He's not finished writing our story.
Oh, absolutely not. Through every tear that we cry and every trial that we go through, we've seen just a glimpse of His promise.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That He will make it, make all things new.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And if our scars can help someone, else keep going, because we have battle scars.
Yes, right.
And we are being transparent and showing you, talking to you about our scars.
The realness, the Netflix movie.
And if it can help,
right, definitely.
If it can help someone keep going, then this journey has a purpose. And we, as you say, we're still standing.
We're still standing. Absolutely.
Not because it was easy.
And sometimes you may not be standing on your own.
Right.
It's a loving God that's propping you up. Just as He did in the battle when Aaron was holding up Moses' arm during the battle.
Yeah.
That's the way things have to be.
Because
I think it was Moses? Or was that Joshua? Okay, we know it was a battle. Okay. All right. Definitely. I know that happened a couple of times, I think, with the serpent. And then too.
You know why? Because we know He is faithful.
Yeah, definitely. Are we faithful?
Are we faithful?
And that's a proving time when you go through things. We don't want you to take our story and get depressed about it. And you have to start popping pills and stuff by listening to us. No, that's not the purpose here. The purpose is to say, no matter what you're going through, you can make it.
Yes.
With the help of God. You can make it.
Yes.
Yes.
So anyone out here struggling, guess what? We see you. We see you. We know the struggles. May not your specific struggle, but we've been there.
We've been there.
We wanted to share that, to let you know we've been there. So the purpose of this is to help you through the struggle.
And we're here to say one thing too. Sorry. Is that don't give up.
Don't give up.
Do not give up.
Yeah, don't give up at all. It could be times you feel like it though.
Sure. Right.
It does. And it's times that I felt like it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But
and the thing is, go ahead.
I'm saying, but just know God's not done.
He's not done with us. Right.
He's not done.
Right.
Because He's not done with us.
And He's still writing our story.
Absolutely.
Glory be to God. We're glad you did tune in.
Yeah.
And we hope that you got basically some edification in us sharing our personal story.
Yeah. So you have a story. You have a story. We all have a story. But how you're going to respond and get through to that story is what matters. So thanks so much for allowing us to share our story through our 40-year journey. And we look forward to you emailing us and being prepared and ready for the upcoming events that we have on our
40th anniversary. July 21st is the date.
Yes.
But we're going to do a celebration before, and we want your face in the place.
Yes.
A virtual celebration.
Yes.
Yeah.
So email us so we can get we can connect and you can get your invite. So the email is in the description of this podcast, and we hope to see you soon.
Yes.
So until next time,
Just keeping it real with Charles and
Melendia.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
Just keeping it real, no pretend. Charles and Melendia till the end, through the highs and the